Got.
Set is good.
Back at it for day 3 of Poker Out Loud, and this one is pretty different. It's the YouTube facing one, not on the subsite. It should be free to watch for everybody. I think Ryan Apollo, Greg Goes All In, Lannon's friend. I think there were a couple cancellations, so not everybody is a vlogger, but it should be pretty fun. Probably not as tough a lineup as the other 2 days that I played, which were basically just full of killers. And that's not to take anything away from whoever we're playing with today. It's just that most of them are playing like 25, 50 plus on a regular basis. All right, let's try to win today. We haven't done that yet. Vlog inception.
All right, so Matt has opened my big blind and, ouch, I mean, it's suited. So let's see here. I mean, it's suited, like whatever, right? All right, let's do it. All right, first act. A lot of red, man. That's the wrong red though. All right, so we're going to be courteous and check. Good.
As I thought, we have no diamond here, and so these boards are a little bit challenging to play. It has an ace and a king on it, which would normally favor the aggressor pretty heavily. But because it's monotone, it's going to favor us a lot less heavily than it otherwise would. Particularly with Drew in the big blind, he's just going to contain basically infinite suited hands. So I think that with second pair, no flush draw is a very, very, very clear check back. And I would be checking back a lot of medium strength hands, even some pretty decent ace-x without diamond. But this one is just super slam dunk check.
I think Matt misclick checked. I was expecting him to bet, but I mean, I'm not gonna blast off here. So yeah, I'm just gonna check. Sure.
So this 8 is going to probably favor him a little bit, but again, it's kind of a board where we both can connect pretty often, pretty hard, and I'm just so toward the middle bottom parts of my range that I should just be happily navigating this to showdown if I can. I imagine that Drew has a sort of similar type of hand where he has some sort of showdown value, something he doesn't really want to turn into a bluff. And I lose to a lot of those types of hands in his range, but we're gonna win sometimes. He has a lot of like pocket pairs. He has some queen highs. So still just checking this.
All right, so he actually checked again. This board is interesting. I can't win. He checks again, so he's got some showdown, right? Yeah. Question is, do I say, like, if I had a king or an 8 here, I'd probably bet, right? Unless I thought that he would bet. I think I can win this pot if I check raise, but he would have to bluff like an under pair that maybe has like a diamond, right? If I check to him. So that would be kind of cool. And then I could check raise. But then would that make sense to him? You know, would I be leading a king here a bunch? I'm thinking, and I think that matters. He's a Poker Out Loud veteran. If I bet small, he probably has to fold those pairs too, though. So I probably can get away with this bluff for cheap. Less, you know, for the content, the check raise. But does he just call? You know what, I think I'm actually just gonna bet small here. Yeah, I think I like that the most. Thinking it out loud, poker out loud. All right, let's see. $15.
So I was really hoping this would happen for very obvious reasons, but one of the really nice things about making a boat on this board, particularly with a king, is that Drew can still have some 8x here. That's pretty strong. But maybe more importantly than that, the board itself actually beats the vast majority of both of the hands in our range, I would say. Queen high doesn't even play here. And so when I raise here, it's not that hard for me to have hands that want to get him off of a chop, sort of get into a rebluff for here. Now, I don't know how often I would actually do that, but I think that there are so many hands available for me to do that with, and I still have low frequencies of some of the very strongest hands on this board. I can really have any quads at some frequency. I can have aces full at some frequency. I can have ace king at some frequency. So there's a lot of those hands that he can't have. And so I think that particularly given how many bluffs are in my range and the fact that I could potentially want him to fold an 8 here, I think going for some sort of like ridiculous overbet is kind of cool. Now, I don't know a ton about how Drew's gonna approach this. I don't know if he'll level himself into thinking I'm trying to get him off of a chop. But I think it's possible. We also now beat any slow played flushes, which I don't know if he would bet here like this or not, but with his sizing, I think it's kind of reasonable if he does ever check flushes twice, which is probably unlikely. So I think with 35 in the pot going to the river and betting 15, I think just going like close to 3x pot is kind of cool. And we won't get called that frequently, but I think it's better than going to like 35 or 40 and getting called at a higher frequency. I don't think we get called such a high frequency at 40 that's going to really be better than going like, I don't know, 100 to 120. I kind of like 120 just because it just seems so outrageous. I think that's what I'm going to do.
One.
All right, so he has raiseth. Now the question is, does he, if he had a small pair, just call for chop, right? Like what's he bluffing with here? What makes sense for his value hands to check down, to raise, weak flushes want to bet flop, right? Sets, all that stuff. So it's like, does he have like a king, queen, king, jack with a no diamond that he wanted to pot control? Check, check, turn though. Does he bet the turn with king, queen, king, jack is the question, right? He's trying to push us off of a chop. So that's kind of the hand I'm most concerned about. I think he bets an 8 on the turn for sure. So does he have a king, it feels like mostly. Do I want to blast off for content? He's repping very, very thin here, it feels like. The king X, so. Yeah, so much just has to bet turn. I think I am going to, what do you put out? 120? Repping very thin. I mean, this is gonna look like a blast off. For sure. Which is fine. This could, yeah, I actually think he's repping so thin. Question is, does he just like, I think he just calls for a chop. I think he's good enough actually. There's spots like where I think a lot of like newer players would like call for a chop, but I think Gs know that you like raise. Oh man, I think I'm gonna do it. Yeah. For the content, let's do it. We are going to make it, I think this looks value-y. Raise. It is 385.
So this is fascinating because I think that the only hand in Drew's range that can do this for value is quad eights. I don't think he ever has ace king. I don't think he ever has aces. I don't think he ever has kings. Well, he can't have kings because I have a king. I'm just trying to think if this is ever not just a trivial call where we're almost always chopping. I mean, if he's capable of doing this as a bluff, great. But yeah, I can't imagine that calling to chop can be a mistake when I already have 120 in there, because we're talking about one combo of eights that he has to, I mean, he'll check flop 100%. He may check turn close to 100%, but it's still one combo. And so he just doesn't need that many combos of king X here for us to have to call to chop. Is that right? Let's see, we get the 120 back and half of what's in there. That's like 130. 135-ish. 80, so we're calling 260. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's annoying. It's annoying for sure. He's gonna have quads non-zero, but I don't see how we do anything but call and sometimes pay off here.
Call.
Call.
Go. Go.
Okay, showdown? Okay. Nice hand, Drew. No one?
Respect. Some fucking respect.
You lost the pot, but you won our respects.
We have a very strong hand here, so we're gonna open.
15.
All right, this hand, again, could kind of go a couple ways, but I think that button I'm more likely to flat. At least some frequency, and cutoff we should be a little more inclined to just 3-bet. So I'm gonna 3-bet this time.
50.
Okay, let's see. Let's have a think here. So raise, 3-bet. I think I'm just supposed to fold. I guess we'll do that. All right, that's boring.
So in this situation, I think it's pretty clear that Matt does have a relatively strong hand, especially considering that he's acknowledged this as being extremely tight. However, using that, I think we're gonna do one for the cameras, so to speak. And I think we're actually gonna 4-bet with king queen. So I don't really believe in blockers, so to speak. You know, like fucking, you know, the fact that I have king queen doesn't mean that he actually doesn't have kings or queens. But I do think he can actually find a fold with queens or worse against specifically me 4-betting, and this is only according to him. So I'm gonna 4-bet to 200 here, and I guess just hold on for dear life. If I get called, I'm probably just gonna shut down.
200.
Okay, so obviously getting 4-bet is not our favorite outcome here. I'm just seeing how deep we are, because this hand in this configuration is I think pretty relevant in terms of the blockers we have. I think ace, queen, queens, kings will all 4-bet pretty high frequency. And I'm just wondering if I can get away with ripping this. Something like, stop shuffling for a second, I can see. Okay, so it's 3, 5, 1K. It's about 1,200. So it'd be a pretty big just jam here. And so I'm wondering if I could ever 4-bet small fold. Excuse me, 5-bet small fold, which feels somewhat outrageous, but I think that for the most part it just looks so nutted that maybe we can get away with it. We're also in position, so I don't think flatting would be the most outrageous thing, but I think we much prefer to have suited if we're gonna call, because SPR will still be like 3. It's not like we can only make a pair and hold on. We can do some stuff if we make flush draws and whatnot. Even backdoors potentially, but offsuit feels a little bit more attractive to just go for it here. I also think just in the dynamic right now, he's probably willing to reach for this 4-bet a little bit more than normal. But if we 5-bet, it's just really hard for him to like 6-bet air, even to 6-bet like somewhat like lower down value hands. The only thing that's awkward is I wish we were like 1,500 effective instead, because it's a little bit easier for me to be flexible with my sizing to achieve fold equity without basically committing stacks. Because that's a little bit of a disaster if I like go to 500 and fold for actually be, is that 700 more? 3, 5, 1, yeah, 1,200. So the question is like, is it just suicidal to go 430 here and then fold to a jam? I think probably not. I think it's probably okay. Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think it just looks super duper nutted. So if he wakes up with it, he wakes up with it. I don't have any sort of read on that, but I think going 430 to 450 and folding to jam is gonna do okay.
I think it's extremely clear that we're beat here. Nobody has a 5-betting range that is a bluff as far as I'm aware, although it'd be super sick to see. I think it's a very, very clear fold. He also might be exploiting the fact that we're tight, but unknown to him, we've been bluffing the entire time. Well, not the entire time, not when we initially raised, but you guys get my point. The 4-bet doesn't work out, we fold. I think we have to act like this is like super, super duper hard and, you know, give the little bit of the sweat, you know, just delay the stream and make everybody more upset at the table who's been having to wait for the past like 3 hours to play their next hand, but we're just gonna fold. You had me, right? Like for sure, probably, right?
I don't know what you had.
The second nuts.
You didn't fold kings, did you?
Hmm?
You didn't fold kings?
Yeah, I did.
I'm terrible.
You got any advice for my viewers?
Stop watching this video, go study, you lazy asshole. Then I break the chains of common sense, say, baby, won't you be my girl?
Here with Matt Vaughan, a fantastic poker player, by far the best at the table today.
Let's take a chance on happiness, say, baby, won't you
And humble. People don't know this, but my middle name is Cato. My first name is actually Vaughan. If you win a WSOP event, speaking of that shirt, you hopefully they accidentally filled out the check a little wrong and send it my way.
Yeah, I'm sure that could happen.
won't you be my girl? I said, baby, won't you be my girl?